Hi guys. Haven't been here in a very long time. I have either lacked motivation or been very busy, which is not great. But I wanted to pop this video up. I haven't done a book review in a very long time, and I have a stack of books that I've read in like the last 3 months that I would love to chat to you guys about. So here we go. First of all, in no particular order. These books are coming in no particular order. So, but we'll start with Six of Crows, Leigh Bardugo. So, a part of the Grishaverse. I have read the Siege series already, which I loved, and obviously the TV show that is on Netflix is based on those books as well. Great story, awesome. This is about the six kind of bandits, I guess you could call them, that are living on one of the other lands, and they've been sent to do like the biggest heist in history, and they're getting paid a lot of good money to do it. And each of the characters in here are all very unique. They all have unique skills that they bring to their group, as well as some of them are magical and some of them are not. They're just like thievery, for example, is like one of the main skills that the main character in here has, which is Kaz. So he's like the main character in this book, but then there's 5 other characters that he travels with for this book. I did really enjoy this book, but it took me so long to read. It's like, and it's not even it's 500 pages. Like, I should have finished this in maybe, 4 hours or so. If maybe a bit longer, 6. It took me I think 2 months to get through this book. And then on top of that, I was like reading other books to get out of this book because it was just so long. So I love Leigh Bardugo. I think he is an amazing author. The only downside I find is this book in particular, there's so much happening with all of the characters at the same time. So when you're reading it, you have to read every word. Otherwise, you literally miss what's going on in the story. Which, for a book like this, you absolutely need to know what's happening in every part of the story. Otherwise, you're going to start reading and you're going, oh wait, what? Who's this talking about? What's going on? When did we swap? So, because I'm so used to because I am a speed reader, and so a part of that is you can kind of miss some kind of key connection words and you still get the gist of the story. You can't do that with this book. But if you're really good at being a highly observant reader who reads quite slowly and digests what's going on through every word, sentence, paragraph, page, then this would be an absolutely amazing book. Very kind of reality / fantasy. Obviously you've got that magical element where people have powers. There's a heart render in here. There is there's one that can make stuff from steel, and I cannot remember what they call them right now. They are called fabricators. Overall, really good book. Highly recommend. I guess if you're into TV shows, movies or whatever, Ocean's 11 is a big kind of heist based one. So essentially you start in the main town where Kaz lives, and he's been asked by another kind of high roller in the town to do this heist, and they're going to pay him to do it, him and his group to do it. and whatever they find on the way is theirs to keep, essentially. But they're trying to break into the Ice Court, which is the military stronghold of the Grishaverse that has never been breached before. And yeah, the story goes along on how they how they travel to the Ice Court, and then what actually happens in the Ice Court itself. Super action based, very action based. There's always something going on. It's not very often that there's any like lulls in this book where they're not doing something physically. And there's also a really sweet connection story between Kaz and one of the other group members. I really like this. And so the Six of Crows, this is the first book, I believe. Yeah. And then this one's a duology. This one's the Crooked Kingdom comes after this one. I haven't read that one yet. I have the book though. So the Shadow and Bone trilogy is the one that I've read before. That's the TV show on Netflix is based off of. Really, really good books as well. Next, I'm literally just pulling these off the top of the pile. I was going to talk about this one last, but Cassandra Clare. I have been a massive fan of Cassandra Clare, and I don't think I've talked about all of the other books that I own, because I only kind of started the YouTube stuff recently, I guess. So I've only been talking about the books that I've recently read. But I have all of the Shadowhunter series, all the prequels, all the sequels, all the everything of Cassandra Clare's books. I read the first book in this. So this, I believe, is going to be a duology. So I read The Swordcatcher. Now, if you've read the Shadowhunter series, you know that Cassandra Clare doesn't really usually go into the spicy scenes. It's more insinuated that it happens. Or that it's not, that she's not very descriptive about exactly what's happening. Like, obviously we all know what happened between Clary and, oh gosh, I've forgotten his name now. But anyway, in the cave with the water, alright? Anyway, so she has kind of like stepped out of her comfort zone a little bit, I believe, in writing these two books. And as you can see, I haven't got very far into it. This universe is similar to Shadowhunters, where we're talking about young people doing things for the kingdom. And that there is magic in this world as well. But I just don't know if this is written as well as the Shadowhunter series. And I'm not sure. I forced myself through Swordcatcher, hoping that I was going to like it by the end. And then for some reason still thought that I should get the second book just to make sure that maybe it was going to get better. And it hasn't. I don't know what to tell you. I am having a really hard time getting through this. I am sitting in the middle of a chapter. Guys, I'm sitting in the middle of a chapter. Like, that's how bored I'm getting. It's not good. I normally like force myself to not stop between, literally, I'm halfway through chapter 5. So, I don't know. I'm having a really hard time with this series. Maybe if you... and you know what? I keep forgetting as well is like Cassandra Clare does take a little bit to build her world. She does a lot of world building, which is definitely no bad thing. Absolutely not. But I sometimes get a little bit bored with the world building if there's not enough other action going on. You can still world build and have things happening. I feel like there's just not a lot that's happening in these books. And maybe if I'm assuming, like if this is not just a duology and she's planning on doing more, then maybe like when we get to book 3 or 4, it will like speed up as to what's going on and you'll get to know more. But at the moment we've been stuck in the same town for the entire first book, and we're still in the same town for this book. We're talking about another town. But yeah, so anyway, the basis of the sword catcher is that the king has a double. So there's like another person that wears a jewel that makes this other person look like the king, so that when they are out at big events or whatever, it's actually the double that is in place of the king, so as to keep the bloodline and the king doesn't accidentally get assassinated, is like the premise behind what's going on. And so the second book here is going on, so we've met, we know who the double is, and there's like a very small group of friends that all know who is the double and who is the real king. But yeah, these books have a lot more spicy stuff in them, so there's quite explicit scenes where they're going to brothels or they're doing it with like other people that have been doing it for a while. At the start of this book we found that there was a enforced marriage between, there was like 2 different forced marriages that neither of them want. So we're going through that at the moment. And this chapter is talking about the healer in this world, who is going through a bit of an existential crisis at the moment because she believes that she is the revivified goddess, I think is what they're calling it, and she's going through the process of figuring out whether that's true or not. So that's that so far. That's what I think of that so far. We've got, oh my gosh. So, these get to go together. So Rachel Gillig, The One Dark Window, this is a duology. Was recommended to me by a friend, said that she wasn't able to put them down. So I then absolutely had to pick them up and see what it was all about. Oh my god. These books are so good. So, this follows a girl named Elspeth, and she lives in a town that is covered with like dark mist pretty much all the time, and it has been like this for centuries. There is a I'm gonna say it's not, I guess it is kind of a kingdom. There's kind of a hierarchy in this world. And there is a little bit of magic, but also a lot of people are very wary of the magic because of how the mist managed to get into their town. So she is a little girl. I apologize. When you meet her, she is a young person. She's like a teenager. And you find out about her story from when she was a child and how this all happened. But she essentially has a monster in her head. And all she remembers as a child is that she touched a card, like a playing card, that had a picture of a monster on it when she was quite young. And she like kind of fainted or passed out or something. And then she woke up and she found that she had this monster in her head that talks to her. It's a really interesting story. I loved the premise of this. I think it was super interesting to take that like monster under the bed, you know, invasive thoughts in our head kind of thing from reality and turn it into something so interesting. And on top of this, Rachel Gillig is an amazing writer. I love her style of writing. She's so descriptive, and she can be quite poetic about how she's writing it. So not like Tana Mera, I think it's Tana Mera or something that did the Shatter Me series. Not poetic like that, where it's like really hard to read. This is like poetic in a sense of like, I cannot stop reading this. I need to know more. I need to keep hearing these beautiful, gorgeous words. They have like give you a feeling. Amazing writer. Amazing duology. The cliffhanger at the end of this book 1 and then gets resolved in book 2. Amazing. And then I found out this year, and I'm going to shuffle through my pile. I know it's been talked about a lot and it's a big like TikTok sensation and blah 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 blah. The Night and the Moth, also by Rachel Gillig. So found out, I was like, oh my god, Rachel Gillig, yes, I loved her One Dark Willow duology. I absolutely have to get the series. And also like I had read a lot of good recommendations on this book and I was really excited to find out what it was. I finished this book in a day. Like, well, I lie. I finished 3/4 of the book in a day. And then I believe I finished it at like 2 a.m. the next day because there was like events and stuff happening and I had to go to work and all this sort of stuff and didn't have time. But like essentially if I had the time, I finished this an entire day. This was so good. This is based around a cathedral where you meet 5 diviners who are bound to this cathedral, essentially, that are used for their the hamlets in their city to come and divine for them. So essentially they show them their future based on good or bad omens. So in this story there's what they call portents, so there's 5 of them, which you get introduced to at the start of the book. They also call them omens or portents. They're both in this book. There is, I wish I could remember exactly what. I wish I could remember exactly what the portents were right now, or that I could remember them where they are. Anyway, the story follows one of the diviners as like a main character, and she is the perfect diviner. She's very obedient. She loves doing the divining, and a part of the divining is that there is a spring in the cathedral where these diviners they stand in the middle of the spring. They take the blood of the person who wants to know their future based off of the omens, and then they are drowned in this spring water. And when they get pulled out of the spring water to lay on like a chalice, that's not the word, like a chemise, I guess, they kind of utter words in their unconsciousness, based off of what they're seeing while they're in their dream. So they're dreaming. So there's 6. Oh, I apologize. There's 6 diviners that are in this story, and we follow the diviner number 6. And I I really don't want to spoil this book because this story was just so good. It unfolded so well, and you just wouldn't expect what happens in this book to happen. And like, I was just absolutely blown away. Also, side note, if you really don't like being left on cliffhangers and waiting for a book 2 or a book 3 or whatever to come out, don't read it now. I don't know when the second book's coming out. There's a massive cliffhanger at the back of this book, and I don't know when I get to read the second one. So just, keep that in mind. If you want to read this, don't read it if you don't like the cliffhanger that you're left on for I don't know how long, till the next book comes out. But this book was amazing, and the twist right near the end was amazing as well. There is a massive twist that happens at the end of this book, and then obviously leaves you on that cliffhanger. Insane. Again, amazing author, amazing writer. She has that beautiful poetic, descriptive wording and story writing going on throughout this entire book, and I absolutely loved it. The the Knight and the Moth are obviously, they are 2 like love interests, and you do meet the Knight within the first few pages, because he is a part of the one of the Hamlet's like bodyguards, I guess. He's like a knight for one of the kings, and this king has come to get his future told by one of the diviners, and so you meet him in the first few pages, and it's a very enemies to lovers. She loves to like lash, like she's got a real good mouth on her. She's really good at what do you even call it? I can't even think what it's called when they do that, but she loves a bit of a fight, and he ends up fighting back, and she loves that in him as well. She finds it at first very like, oh, how dare you, like, because the diviners are like looked up as being quite like godlike, I guess, and so you would never speak to a diviner like this, and she is very like, how rude of you to be speaking of me like this, like, I am so much better than you, I can do these things, I am magic, and he likes to defy those things in her, and she secretly likes it. So amazing. Love this. So Rachel Gillig, absolutely highly recommend as an author, and I think I'm gonna be following her for a very, very long time. She brings out some more books. Super like, we're going over to like cozy fantasy, I guess you could call this. So I've got the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I had read a little bit about, and I just thought it sounded so silly, but I was like, I absolutely have to see what this is about. There's a whole series on these ones, so based all in the same town of Dream Harbour. So we've got this one, we've got the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, the Christmas Tree Farm, the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe is book 1 of the Dream Harbour series, and you go through and follow the story of Jeannie, who was an assistant to a CEO in New York, I think, and then her hippy-dippy auntie, who owned a cafe in Dream Harbour, decided she wanted to go travelling, and so she left the cafe to Jeannie after there was a traumatic thing that happened to her. And so Jeannie's now come to Dream Harbour and is now trying to figure out how to run this cafe and like become friends with all of these people. So cozy fantasy, obviously there is absolutely a love interest, and I thought it was so funny because when you open up the first 2 pages there, you've got the map of the town, and I went through and I was looking at this map and I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious, where the 2 love interests that I had expected were like on the map. I was like, oh yeah, so it's either going to be Logan or it's going to be Noah. So Logan's on the map, you've got Logan's farm, and then you've got Noah's boat in the marina, and then you also had Mac's pub, and I was like, well, maybe it's Mac could be the person. And then you had Hazel's house, which we assumed was just going to be like a best friend that she found. And you meet your love interest in like the first literally page 4. Like page 3 and 4 is when you meet the love interest. And it's fucking hilarious. This book was, for me, it was so cringy and hilarious that it was good. Like, I was laughing through this entire book. I was like, of course, that's hilarious. Like, yes, of course you think that. And it was very, like, so typical of, like, that they meet and this is what they think and that's what she thinks and that's what he thinks and, oh, of course they're going to do this and that's going to happen and blah, 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 blah. And that's how this story's going to progress. But I thought it was so funny. Like, I just loved reading this book because it was so funny, and I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. Of course. I loved this book. I absolutely am going to be getting the other books in this series because now I want to know the love stories of the other ones. Like, they're so dumb. They're gonna be exactly the same love story as what Jeannie's had, and I'm not mad about it. Like, I want to know. So I think, so at the end of this book there was a little extract from the Cinnamon Bun bookstore, which is book 2, and that follows Hazel. So she's obviously on that map as Hazel's house, and you do meet Hazel in this story. Yeah, this is just so cute. So the whole town is run by this governor who literally, like, does things based on dreams that he has, which is why it's called Dream Harbor. And for some reason they all keep coming true. It's so stupid, but it's so funny, and it's so sweet. And there is, like, a little bit of an I actually didn't think that it was going to happen, but there is actually an explicit scene in this as well, closer to the end of the book, that I wasn't expecting. I was like, oh, whoa, okay. So if you just honestly want, like, a real super easy read that's, like, cute, cozy, in, like, this, that's also, like, hilarious and funny, you should definitely pick up this. She also has a bit of a mouth on her. She loves to kind of, like, bite. And, you know, there's a book club that, like, you know, runs the town. They have all the gossip on everybody, and they know everything, and there's, that kind of, like, camaraderie between everyone. Highly recommend. I thought that it was really cute. And then, kind of on the same page, Cozy Fantasy, I decided to read The Honey Witch. So I think that I believe that this was a lesbian book? Maybe? I've read this so long ago that I don't know if I remember. I'm sure that this was the two love interests were both females. Maybe. Oh no, because it doesn't have any, that's not in one of the content warnings. Oh, I see. Yeah, I feel like maybe I need to work. I think I might read this one again. I think I've forgotten. So, the blurb on the back of the book is, the Honey Witch is cursed to never find true love, but when she meets a woman who doesn't believe in magic, she dares to hope for more. Marigold Claude is our main character, has always preferred the company of meadow spirits to the suitors who've tried to woo her. So when her grandmother whisks her away to the tiny isle of Innisfree with an offer to train her as the next Honey Witch, she accepts immediately. But her newfound magic and independence comes with a price. No one can fall in love with the Honey Witch. When Lottie Burke, a notoriously grumpy skeptic who doesn't believe in magic, shows up at her doorstep, Marigold can't resist the challenge to prove to her that magic is real, even at the risk of losing her home and her heart. I feel like I kind of remember some of the scenes in here, but also not really. This wasn't a bad book. I believe it took me a little bit to get through this book as well. No, like, explicit scenes or anything in here. It's pretty, like, PG. Very much more insinuation stuff. It was a, like, oh, I'm looking specifically for cozy fantasy books. Oh, this is a cozy fantasy book. Let's pick it up and see what it's like. I hadn't really read any, a recommendation. I hadn't gotten any recommendations from other people, or I hadn't seen any other recommendations from other people on this book, so but Rachel Billing is actually one of she says, a sweet feast brimming with whimsy, magic, and tender longing. Anyway, I do know that I found this book really cute, but I feel like maybe I should do an individual review on it once I read the book again, because I've definitely forgotten what it's about, which is not good. Anyway, so, yeah, that was like, and I probably missed some, because I've read so many books at this point, and I keep just putting them back on my bookshelf and not actually remembering which ones I've finished reading. Like, I have to log them in Fable to remind myself, like, oh, I have finished that book, actually. So, I think I would highly recommend most of them. I think the only book that I'm going to highly recommend all the books to you, because my reading taste is different to your guys' reading taste, but I'm assuming you're here because you have a similar reading taste to me. So, I don't know, it's up to you. I think that the only book that I really am going to struggle with continuously is going to be Cassandra Clare's The Ragpacker King book. But all of these other books, and Rachel Gillig especially, is going to be my highest recommendation out of this little pile that I have here. If you want a beautiful story that has twists and turns that you cannot, like, I am forever being, like, reading through books and going, oh yeah, this is going to happen by this time, or oh yeah, this is who it is, who's the protagonist or whatever. She is so good at hiding it. I don't know, like, and it's so funny because when you find out what the twist is in her books, you then, like, remember back through the story and you're like, oh, she was leaving, like, little hints and I was not picking up on them. Like, they're just so tiny that she leaves these little hints around and you just think, oh yeah, that's interesting, and you just keep going, and then you get to the, like, those twists that she has, and they just blow you away. So Rachel Gillig, highest recommendation in my little pile here. And then I would probably have to go with Laurie Gilmore for the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, just for, like, a really hilarious, soft, cute, cozy fantasy. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed hearing about what I thought about these books, and I hope that maybe it inspired you to go find some new books to read as well. I've got some more in the pipework, so that I bought, like, 3 more books the other day. So I have The Prior of the Orange Tree, I believe it's called, that I am yet to start. So that is my next book on my TBR at the moment. So anyway, have an amazing day, weekend, night, day, whatever you're doing, and we'll just check in next time. See ya.